and we, forward you Monday Madness because it was in there. We don't mind doing that, but I know it's information you need.
Now, I do want to mention, we were going to do a little bit over BPA and DECA today, and our fearless leader is out today. So if you have BPA or DECA questions that we might be able to answer, I think between the three of us, surely we might have an answer. Otherwise, we can get it to Paxton if you have questions about BPA and DECA.
Christy, there's a question in the chat about CTIM's deadlines. If they're posted on that important dates calendar, and the answer is yes, they are. And you can find that important dates in CTU. You can find it in the BPA or DECA website. You can also find it on our Career Tech website.
Thank you. So let's talk distance learning. Do you feel like that's all you're talking about these days? I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I would like to see faces. Tell me, what are some challenges or things that you've seen, opportunities that have presented themselves? Anyone?
I think Jesse was pulling his hair out, but I'm not sure I believe it.
The challenge I'm having is I have kids at home that don't have access to the programs I need them to have access to. So trying to find an alternative for like Photoshop or something like that for them to work on.
Have you used Pixlr? Have you heard about that one?
I've heard of Pixlr. I haven't tried that one yet. I stumbled on Canva the other day and had been working with that some.
Canva is an excellent one to start with for sure. Even for Fund of Tech, when you have to cover that little section in one of the competencies, I think Canva would be perfect for Fund of Tech. Pixlr goes in a little more detail. I think it uses a lot of the same commands that Photoshop does. So I think that's just kind of the only way to do it at this point, sadly.
Yeah, I've got mostly face-to-face, but I've got Payne County is in the red right now, and so I've got some kids that they volunteered to go home and be distance learned. So I'm doing both virtual and face-to-face at the same time.
Where are you, Nicole?
I am at Perkins trying.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Krista, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, for Nicole, there's also Photopia, the it looks like Photo P, that looks pretty similar to Photoshop, and it's, okay. I think Pixlr is free too, and if you're at Google School, you can tie it to your Google account.
Okay, I'll try that, thank you.
Yes, Darla, I see Darla's message. Refreshing to see everyone else having the same technology issues. Just know you're not alone. Even us here at the Career Tech headquarters, it's a little slow today.
The challenges I'm having is still haven't gotten direction from my administration on how to safely do the check out and check in of cameras to the students. So we're still at ground zero there. I don't even know when I'll be able to check equipment out to the kids.
Is that according to safety policy, like distance and that kind of thing? I gotcha. You know, that would be, it's challenging anyway. So to add to it.
Yeah, and to have a class set of cameras, but now I've got 7 times that who need them, so I'm gonna have to rotate through the weeks, check them out for a week and then back in, and have some kids working on some projects and other kids working on different ones at the same time, even though they're in the same class.
What courses that you're using them?
Yeah, the photography courses, multimedia and digital editing, and a capstone as well.
Awesome.
And yearbook for that matter. So
yeah. Well, I was gonna say the good thing about yearbook with the new iPhones, I'm sure the Samsung has a good camera too, but sometimes the pictures on my son's iPhone turn out better than what I can do with the camera nowadays. So That's a good thing. So Jesse says he was, Jesse, were you at what did you say? A drag racing endurance event.
I am currently in Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. My grandson is driving.
That's awesome.
And we're Zooming. We're at we just got back into Oklahoma. So.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
I would tell you, we're having issues with, I cannot get a student to turn on the video. The 7th and 8th graders are just, I guess, bashful. So I'm having a hard time getting them to connect as a class. And I've tried quite a few things, but I'll keep plugging at it, and hopefully they'll break out of their shyness.
Yes, that was one of the things my very own 8th grader said he loved about distance learning, is because he didn't have to be social. Doesn't have to turn his camera on, so I'm sure.
I make my students, oops, sorry, turn my video back on. I've got my video off. I always did like a roll call with my kids at the first of the class, where I asked to see them just at least for that little second. And then when I did my lecture, and I'd call on them, popcorn call on them, and tell them just for that, like that brief second where I asked them a question that they needed to turn it on so I could see them that quick. That's how I got them to turn it on sometimes.
And you know, I think we heard an idea of sending the kids into little breakout rooms without you for just a few minutes to let them talk, and maybe that would get them more comfortable with turning their camera on. Maybe they're just afraid of, you know, what's everyone else look like? What are they dressed like? I don't know. Could be an idea. Not very long.
I liked the idea in the last session I was in, where they were doing face-to-face with the instructor on one-on-one, to start that out so that they get used to using it. If you can do that. I know when you have lots of students, that's more difficult than when you're at a tech center, for sure. But that might help them, you know, so they can get used to that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Really helpful.
One of the things I saw too on a teacher post on Instagram from a teacher back on the East Coast, some of the kids, you know, they just don't want to turn on their cameras because of a home life situation or whatever is going on at home too. So Jesse, if they're not wanting to turn on the camera there, that might be a situation too.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I am trying to be aware of. They might not want people to see where it is and what situations they're in. And a lot of mine are taking care of their younger siblings. At the same time, they're trying to do the Zoom.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's where you have the opportunity to help them learn how to use, you know, their backdrops, and also maybe just throw up a sheet or something. I know all of you didn't attend the same sessions, I know, but that was a suggestion so that they could, you know, have it be more private and they wouldn't be exposing where they actually are.
Right, and then basically at TPS, they really haven't been in Canvas that long, so they're having to learn that. This coming week, I'm going to start filling it in on how to do backdrops and stuff like that.
So I have kind of a unique question, something that happened on Saturday. So one of my students actually got shot on Saturday in the stomach, and so he's in recovery right now. He's going to be in the hospital for a couple of weeks, just in case with HIPAA and everything like that. How should I go about? Should I just open up the work to him, or should I continually go on demanding that he shows up for Zoom meetings? Like, how do y'all recommend me checking on him?
Personally, I would say you have that relationship developed with your student, and possibly, is it no, you're K-12, so him and his parents. And Nicole pointed out school policy. I think if it were my child that had been shot in the stomach, I would hope that the instructor would be understanding, not to give up, stay in communication.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think if you do that and have that relationship with them, then when they're able to get those assignments in and checking in, I think that will take care of itself. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, Thomas is in kind of a unique situation there too, but where, you know, I think you've just got to have, like what Krista said, time for grace and understanding right now, and hopefully he's not going to, hopefully you're not going to lose him. I mean, as a student loses interest, you know, by doing that. But just like Christy said, keep in contact with him and check in on him. And
Krista put it in the chat, schedule some one-on-one time with him, maybe with him and his guardian parent, whoever that
Yeah.
is.
Well, I've been in contact with them, and that's kind of the problem I'm facing, because I really wanted to go up and visit them, but obviously because of COVID, I wasn't able to. It's only 2 people allowed in the hospital room, period. And it's like a lockdown setting. So I was like, because I know for me, I've had long surgeries like that before, and I got super bored, and school is a way for me to escape for that for a little bit. So I guess I'm just going to have to hit him up and see if he actually wants to do the work, or if he wants to try to catch up whenever he comes back.
Yes, and you know, if I would present it just like you did to us. When you had surgery, this is how I felt. You may feel different, but if he knows you're coming from a place of like just kindness and gentleness, then it could change the whole, I don't know, that would change everything, I think.
Oh, he's definitely one of my favorite students. So I have a plan time right after school, and he definitely takes up all that plan time getting
Oh,
asking
good.
questions and mentoring. So
Good.
so he's
Yeah,
probably
really.
looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah.
and I have another one that I'm kind of torn on. So there's a couple of my students that are actually homeless right now, and they're living with other students. So they have a home and they have internet connection, but sometimes the bandwidth can get pretty sketchy. And some of them have been like fully kicked out, where the internet can get turned on, or the electricity got cut off for a little bit. So what I've been doing is giving them an excuse for that. And I was like, I'll shoot them an email or a text and say, hey, if you show up on my plan period on Wednesdays, I'll allow you for that makeup day. Do y'all recommend me doing that, or how would y'all handle that situation?
And are you in this situation where all your students have phones? I'm sorry, Christy, I'm jumping in.
Okay, that's good.
Just because I know what school you're at.
Kinda, yeah.
Do you mind to share what school you're from? We have some.
Putnam Heights.
Yeah, so I'm Putnam Heights Academy. So whenever it's an alternative high school, so if they don't make it into regular high school, we do a lot with the incarceration. Like I have a student that he mandatory has to come to class. I thought he was just a really good student, but he did 2 drive-bys last year, and so he has to come to class. I was like, I thought you were just a really good student. He was like, I still am. But so mine's an alternative high school. So whenever they are not allowed to be in their high school anymore, they come to mine for an extended period, hopefully to graduate.
Thomas,
Sorry, go ahead, Jackie.
Thomas, in alternative school, you always have lots of different issues. And I would suggest, obviously you're very compassionate towards your students. And I think that's the #1 thing that you need to take into mind. As long as you're following your school policies, any way that you can extend your compassion to them and help them understand that you know where they're coming from and that you want to help them in any way so that you can keep them interested, I think is very important. And I'm so sorry to hear about the student that was shot. That's just terrible. But I would definitely reach out to those kids as often as you can.
And you know, David Morris, I don't know if you were in his session or in that session last time, but David said to keep the expectations up there. Don't let them, like, even though you're compassionate, you still make sure they know that you're expecting greatness. Krista,
Right.
Krista had her hand up.
I'm in the same district as Thomas, and I found our district-wide remote learning guidelines. I can forward those if you'll tell me your email, Thomas.
I can shoot it to you in a message here real quick.
Okay.
Anything else? We are way ahead of schedule because we missed our. Yes, Jesse. Just please make sure you have your seatbelt on. If you guys need anything else, yes, Tracy.
Yeah, so since it's a new teacher group, I'm wondering if anybody else is in a similar situation with the, excuse me, equipment inventory. I've apparently inherited a real mess, and there's a lot of missing items, and it's kind of all over the place, and I'm having trouble even tracking down any documentation and all that. So just wondering if, like, starting from zero with what I have in front of my face is an acceptable inventory and go forward with purchases and all that, or do I need to find a history and all that for the inventory requirements?
Tracy, how do you know that you're missing some things?
I've been told by
Okay,
other
so you just
teachers
don't
and
actually,
administrators.
okay, you don't have an actual list? Because I'm thinking maybe your administrator does have a list of inventory. And if they do, I would take that list, and if you cannot locate that item, I would say, you know, stolen, lost, whatever,
Okay.
just document on it whatever has happened. I mean, if you don't know what's happened, figure out how you want to list that.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's okay. We understand that happens. You know, go ahead and list it on your inventory for the future, and then just move on and keep better records.
Okay, thank you.
Christy, there is a question in the chat, and it's a ways back from Krista about a Google alternative to the Office Suite and Publisher specifically. Do you have suggestions on that?
I don't see the I don't know what the question is. Oh, I don't have an answer, but I can certainly be looking for one, Krista. We'll
The
see.
only one that I know of is, I know that when you do Certiport, which is much more expensive, but you know, you can use your 412 money if you were using that test for everybody in the class. But they do have some of their learning. I don't know if it's LearnKey or Jasper Active. I can't honestly remember, but it does work as an alternative so that if you don't have that Office Suite available to them at home, that they could use that. If you would email us on that, we can try to work on that a little bit further.
Anyone else? Okay, I just have to say, I've heard that I'm very animated. Recently, I've heard it several times, and I've been watching one of my hometown teachers, and I would say it must be a thing from our hometown because she is just as animated as I am, and so I'm not even going to say her name and pick on her, Jamie Weston. I mean, so it must be an Ada, Oklahoma thing, being very animated.
I have a room full of yearbook kids trying to pick their theme, and so I'm trying to listen to this and listen to them, and I physically can't talk unless my hands are moving.
I love it. Well, you guys, it's been a pleasure to get to chat with each of you. If you need anything else, you know where to find us. We will jump fences, jump hoops to help you. And we would love to be able to be in your classrooms with you, because this really stinks, because that's my favorite part of the job, is getting to go meet you in person and see your classrooms and meet some of your students. So know that we miss it and we miss you guys. So if you need anything else, let us know. And I think this is it. And you are done for the day with us. I think for this session for today, you have options of which classes you want to attend through Master Educator. And we will
make sure that they click the red X so that they can get their certificate for what they've attended today.
The red X. Okay.
That's what was in the instructions.
There
You know,
you
when
go.
they go back to the Master Educator site, they need to click that X so that they can get credit for attending today.
Perfect. And don't forget to fill out that survey that's in the PowerPoint that they provided. So we will see you next time.
Good luck with classes.
Bye, everyone.